You're not tired, you're negotiating. You already know the answer. 10 press-ups, twice. You keep
Most people don't struggle because they lack information. They struggle because they lack signal. We are drowning in generic advice. Podcasts, YouTube, LinkedIn, it's all noise. Because none of those sources know your specific context. They don't know your constraints, they don't know your history. And they aren't there when you're deciding what to prioritize. That's where a mentor comes in. But real mentors are expensive, busy, or scarce. So in 2025, I stopped looking for one and I engineered my own. I built a persistent AI system that acts like a mentor. This video is the full breakdown. I use it consistently over the course of a year to improve myself. To be clear, this wasn't a custom app or some complex pipeline. It started as a single chat inside ChatGPT. The difference was how I designed the interaction. So what does a mentor actually do? At its core, a mentor keeps you aligned. When you drift, they pull you back. When you overcomplicate things or get lazy, they hold you to your own standard. Inspiration helps, motivation helps, but the real value is pattern recognition. A mentor spots the mistakes you keep repeating before you see them yourself. And that requires two things: consistency and memory. Most people don't use AI that way. Each interaction starts fresh. That's why it fails for long-term growth. So I stopped treating it like a one-off chat and started treating it like a system. I created a single long-running chat inside ChatGPT and used it deliberately. So I named the chat Bryce. Look, I know how it sounds. You're probably like, this guy's a bit strange for naming a chat, but it helped me treat it like a role, not a random chat. It tells the chat you're not a generic assistant, you have a specific role. Then I wrote the instructions. I didn't just say be a mentor. I set rules for how it should respond. I set the tone to be direct but constructive. And I added one hard rule: never validate excuses. I literally included this line: treat this conversation as if I'm paying you £500 per hour. Rules alone aren't enough. A system without context can't give useful feedback. So before I asked it for advice, I gave it history. First, I defined the mentor itself. I gave it an age significantly older than me, with experience I don't have yet. I defined its background: work, businesses, and clear standards. I gave it a mindset, how it thinks about discipline. Then I gave it my context, what I was working towards in 2025, the goals I cared about, and the trade-offs I was consciously making. This part matters before any clever prompt. AI is terrible at guessing intent, but it's very good at executing intent once you define it clearly. If you don't tell the system what good looks like, it can't tell you when you're drifting. I wasn't asking it to browse the internet. I was asking it to hold me to my own rules. Quick reality check. Yes, this involves putting personal information into an AI system. There are trade-offs. The upside is obviously higher quality feedback. The downside is you need to be intentional about what you share. I don't put passwords or highly sensitive data in there. What I share are standards, goals, and behavior patterns. You have to decide your own risk tolerance. This isn't blind trust, it's deliberate use. This isn't a chat I open once a month. It's a feedback loop. I dump the week into the system. What I did, what I failed, what I avoided. And because it has memory, it detects drift. It says things like, you optimized the system that didn't need optimizing yet. That isn't a chatbot, that's accountability. The hard part isn't the prompt. It's setting standards you can't talk your way around. Let me show you a real interaction. I've got a dilemma, I'm going to ask it. I'm going to use the mentor to help me make a decision on how I'm going to tackle this dilemma I'm facing. It's 8 PM on a Friday. I'm thinking of skipping the gym to finish this long-form edit. What advice can you bring?
At-home workaround, very practical. Do 30 minutes. Enough to move, sweat, and clear your head, not enough to drain you. Then come back and edit with urgency. This isn't about fitness. It's about preventing the mental crash that happens when you sit there forcing productivity. Short session, clean edit, no drama.
As you can see from that response, the mentor figure is not only useful for the retrospectives on Sunday, it's also useful for the day-to-day decisions or any questions I have. I'm definitely going to do this hybrid approach. That's the advantage of having a mentor figure that can help shape your decisions based on dilemmas. So technically, how does this work? There are two layers. The first is the system prompt. That's the background instruction. It defines the role, the rules, and the behavior. That's where I set the mentor's background, the standards and the constraints. In ChatGPT, this lives in custom instructions under the personalization settings. Those rules stay active across the conversation. You don't have to re-explain every time. If you don't use system prompts, the model goes back to being agreeable. That isn't the mentor you designed. It won't push you towards your goals. Then there are user prompts. Those are the day-to-day interactions. Questions, reflections, decisions, same chat, same rules, different inputs. Now, there is a limit. Chats have a context window. Once that fills up, earlier messages drop off. When that happened, I didn't lose the rules. I started a new chat and asked for the summary of the previous one. I just reloaded the recent content. This points to a bigger shift. The skill of 2026 isn't prompt engineering, it's system design, not asking smarter questions, designing roles that think with you, building infrastructure that protects you from your own bad habits. Bright isn't a person, it's a feedback system, one that remembers the standards you've set and checks your decisions against them. When things drift, it pulls you back, and I built the entire thing manually. No code, no automation, just structured prompts inside ChatGPT. I'm Josh, and I hope you build your own AI mentor to help you achieve your goals and keep you on track in 2026.